I guess when you are in that battle in the moment of
should I eat it or should I not?
Just, if you're even thinking about it, then you're probably full. Just put it down and then push it away. It was good. I enjoyed it, but I'm not going to enjoy it anymore in the next 3 bites than I have already enjoyed it.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode. And today I'm so excited. I have Lindsay Eure. Did I say your last name?
You
right?
did.
Okay, good. Eure. And she is a thin eater. And as you guys know, I've interviewed over 1,000 women who have been thin. They've always been thin. They've not struggled with yo-yo dieting and going back and forth. And so we're going to do an in-depth interview of her and how she eats. And so I'm really excited. Lindsay, welcome.
Thank you so much. Good to be here.
So tell me a little bit, first tell me a little bit about you, what you do.
Sure.
And just introduce yourself.
All right. I am an entertainer, director, teacher in the performing arts world, musical theater specifically, a resident artist at the Zeiders American Dream Theater. That's the new theater that we have at our Virginia Beach Town Center. Teach out of my home. Do a lot of things in the arts.
What do you teach at home?
I offer private coaching for like audition preparation and
like
acting, musical theater techniques. Mm-hmm.
That's cute. I know everyone keeps telling me I need to get my son into acting because he's so,
he is. I could totally see
like
that. He would be great. Yeah.
But I also know that I always heard those horror stories about people who are actors when they were young. And I'm like, I just don't want him to turn out to be, a nightmare. I'm like, he's just so perfect. I don't want to change
He's
that.
adorable.
So tell me, what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, I get up around 7.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my alarm goes off at 7. And then I get up. I have coffee in the morning. My husband's so dear. He makes my coffee every morning just the way I like it, with half and half and a bit of coconut sugar, which I've used to replace regular sugar. And then I get to work getting my son ready for school, get myself ready for the day, drop him off. I don't eat in the morning. Mm-hmm. Can't stand eating in the morning. I'm just not hungry. I don't like to eat when I'm not hungry. So I probably eat when I pick my son up and he's hungry. Tend to plan my meals, I guess, around other people.
So like around noon, you would say?
I'd say around noon. I'm hungry, then I eat.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Dinners, I cook a lot. We don't go out.
So you start your eating day at around noon, and one of the things that it's a controversial topic in intermittent fasting, and this is the thing. It's like you do intermittent fasting, but you don't know that you're doing it, and that's why I wrote my book, because it was like I kept interviewing all these people. And every one of them was like, yeah, I don't eat breakfast. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, I'm just not hungry in the mornings. And then I'd say like, well, don't you think breakfast is the best meal of the day? And they're
I
like,
think that's a fallacy.
They're like, look at me. Look how beautiful I look and look at my body. I'm like, no, I'm not forcing food down my face when I'm not hungry because someone told me that breakfast was the most important meal of the day.
And something I've noticed, if I do eat later in the evening, say we actually have a pretty early dinner. We'll eat like 5 or 6. But if I do eat or snack later in the evening, I will wake up hungry. That's not something I usually do, but I will wake up and hungry and need to eat earlier in the day. So I don't know what that there is to that. Also, I never bought into the 3 square meals a day philosophy. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think we're built that way. I think that our ancestors had to work a lot harder for food than we did and burnt a lot more calories daily than we do. And we don't need a protein and a carb and a vegetable 3 times a day to run.
Right. So talk to me about, so you start your meal, you start your day at 12, and then when do you usually have dinner?
5 to 6.
Yeah, so you like to eat an early dinner.
Well, my husband gets hungry early, so it's more cooking for him.
It's so funny because one of my friends called me the other day, and it was like 4:45, and she's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I just finished eating dinner. She's like, what? It's 4:45, you're finishing dinner? But sometimes if I eat a really small lunch, so I usually start my day around 12, that I eat lunch. But let's say if I'm really hungry that day, it might be 11. So that day I must have started my window around 11.
Right.
And so by 4:30, I was hungry already because
Right.
I didn't have any snacks or anything and just didn't have that much.
I also
at 4:30
often have rehearsals in the evening, or I'll be teaching in the evening. So
you
I will
eat
do
kinda
it early so everyone can eat before I leave to go to the theater.
Do you see how, and this is what I love, like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, you've never said to yourself, like, I'm intermittent fasting, right? But you are, if you look at it, right? If you start your eating window at 12 and you're finishing eating at 6, you're
Right.
eating in a 6-hour window.
Right.
And that 1 cup of coffee with creamer is anything that's really under 50 calories. It just doesn't affect your blood sugar that much, and it still keeps you in that fasted state.
And that particular thing is something I enjoy, and I want to get my day
Yes.
off to a good start
you
and
like
feel
it,
happy
and
and
yes.
feel like I can conquer the day. So
Yes.
if that's what does it for me,
Yes, that's
what
right.
I'm gonna do.
And what I found is a lot of times people say, that coffee with cream, just keep that little bit, that 30 calories, 50 calories, whatever it is, it doesn't raise my blood sugar because it's high fat,
Right.
it's heavy cream, and it doesn't raise my blood sugar crazy. It just kind of keeps me going and actually allows you to go to a longer time where you're not as hungry.
right.
So talk to me about when you're eating, like, if you don't love something, like, do you stop eating, or how do you, like, would you say that when you're eating, how do you know I'm going to stop eating this right now?
If I'm full, generally I will stop unless it's so good. That's when I'll get those extra calories. But if I don't love it, I'm probably not eating it. I have a friend that will take a bite of something, like, oh, let's try this. We went to this little bakery, it's a little outing. Oh, this is, it's okay. And then eat the whole thing. After I've tried it and it's not
Not that good.
really giving me joy, then I'd rather just save those calories for later.
So
Especially if it's empty calories.
yeah,
I'm
so
not gonna
if you were
finish it.
going to rate something like 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, right? Like 5 stars is like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing I've eaten. 4 is like, this is really, really good. And then 3 is like, eh. Where would you say that you would stop eating?
I'd say if it's not 4 to 5 stars, I'm probably not going to eat it unless I know it's going to be a long time until I eat, and that's just a practical matter. But as far as enjoyment,
Yeah, so pretty much
it has to be
4
up there.
So you'd say you have friends that you would
unless it's
say-
going to insult somebody.
Yeah. So would you say that you do have friends that you're like, this isn't that good, and they would say, yeah, this isn't that good, but they keep
And finish it. And finish it.
I know, it's hysterical.
How can you eat that?
Yeah, if it's not that good, then why are you
But
finishing
I think
it?
because eating has become such a mindless activity, food is so easy to come by, and it's just a mindless activity.
So is there any foods that you say, this is off limits for me, or I kind of watch it on this?
Right.
What is your kind of idea? So like let's say, okay, so it's 12 o'clock. You had your coffee in the morning. Here it is noon. Now, first of all, talk about how do you know that you're physically hungry?
I physically feel it in my stomach. I mean, it
so
gets
you
to that
hear
point.
your stomach growling.
Yeah, I may hear my stomach growling, or I just go, gosh, I feel a little bit, I think I need to eat. But that, like, my blood sugar maybe drops. I don't know if
So
that's
do
a
you
good thing,
usually
but that's
wait?
what happens.
You usually wait until your stomach
Until I'm
growls.
hungry.
Yeah, and
I'm
you
actually
hear that
hungry.
it's hungry. Yeah,
Rather than a
And-
preventative measure.
And so, would you say that if you were going to decide what to eat, so now you're like, okay, my stomach's growling, I'm feeling a little like now it's time for me to eat. How do you decide what I'm going to eat right now? Do you say, what is my body craving? What are you thinking at that point?
Well, there's certain things that are always off limits to me, so therefore my choices are always fairly healthy, even if it's dependent upon the situation of the time or where we are. So even if
So
I take
what
my son to
kind of
lunch,
things-
it's not going to be something unhealthy. We don't do fast food. If I'm eating leftovers from the night before out of the fridge, it's not going to be something unhealthy.
So why are you making, so like, let me ask you this. When was the last time you'd say you did have fast food?
I couldn't tell you. Rarely ever. I've had some Chick-fil-A once in a blue moon, and it's grilled nuggets. And I didn't grow up eating fast food, and I don't crave it, and I just don't do it.
So what about, and tell us about
food.
tell us about your family and about your kids so everyone can kind of.
My immediate family or growing up?
Immediate family.
My husband, Robert, he owns a liqueur brand, Nectar Liqueur.
Which is fantastic, by the way.
Yes.
If I went to the ABC store and I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, there's Nectar Liqueur. So I was so excited to see it there. And it is delicious. What we need to do, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Your husband made this biscotti.
Oh, right.
With that.
Yes.
We need to get him in here to show that on video, number one. And number two, if you send me that recipe, gang, I'm going to post it on this. I'll post it in the show notes. But you've got to use it with the Nectar Liqueur because it is to die for.
So good.
I don't even like biscotti. But one day he was like, hey, do you want to try this? And I like ate it and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever ate. I didn't even know I liked biscotti. It was hysterical. So you've got to get us that.
Okay.
All right.
Will do.
And then what? Tell us the rest of your family.
And then it's my son who is 4.5, my darling
He's so
boy.
cute.
Yeah, he'll be starting
He's
kindergarten
adorable.
next year and enjoys all the boy things, superheroes.
Yeah. So does he ever say, Mom, I want to go to Chick-fil-A or Mom, I want to go to Taco Bell or?
He's never been to Taco Bell. He has been to Chick-fil-A, so he'll ask once in a while, but it's more about the play area because he rarely finishes his food because he's busy playing. No, he asks me to go to the place with fire, which is a hibachi place, and he likes to eat the chicken and the rice, and he asks me to go to a Mexican place.
My son loves that hibachi. He wants to go there all the time. He loves that place.
It's fun.
So when you go there, what do you eat?
We usually go for lunch and do the lunch special. I'll get the teriyaki chicken with the vegetables, and we'll share that. I'll get him an extra side of rice because I like the rice too.
Yeah, their rice.
That's one of my splurges. I really enjoy rice and I really enjoy pasta, but I won't eat it a lot. And I like whole wheat pasta. So at least there's that.
So talk about for lunch. So typical lunch for you that you eat all the time would be what?
Well, a lot of times my lunches consist of snacking.
Okay.
So I'll have a packet of tuna, or I'll have an apple and peanut butter, or I'll have the leftovers from the night before, or if I take my son to lunch, that's kind of the times that I actually eat, I guess, what you'd consider a meal for lunch, because that's a bonding time for us.
So would you say your lunch is, if you said small, medium, or large, what would you say? So your lunch is small.
Because even when we go out, we share.
So you'll share a meal. Okay. And do you like the feeling of being full, or would you say you don't?
I cannot stand being full.
Okay.
I love being satisfied, but when it crosses over to that feeling of being uncomfortable.
And how do you know
like
that you're like, what would be the signs that you would say that this is why I'm full?
That's such a good question because they're so subtle, aren't they? The physical feelings of it. Well, if you eat too fast, you're going to miss it. And I think that's super key. I think that I know some people that wolf down food and they're able to finish everything before they realize that they're full. I do tend to savor my food a lot, so I'm a slow eater. And I think part of it is when I'm still eating and I have plenty of food left and people are finished, I realize, wow, the meal's kind of like ending. I actually think I'm full.
I love that. That's so cool. So let's say you were really craving like M&Ms or Skittles. Let's just say you were really craving that.
Okay.
Number one, would you eat that, or would you say, no, I'm just not even going to eat that, or would you say I'm going to eat one or two? How does that work for you?
Okay, well, I don't crave those things. I don't crave candy. I do like some good chocolate once in a while, but I much prefer a baked good.
Okay.
So if that's something that I really want, I'll get it. I don't eat it all though. I'm a squirrel. You can ask my husband. I will squirrel things away. In fact, I'll have to hide them from him so he doesn't get them. So I like a 7-layer bar from Taste Unlimited. Once in a while, he will bring one home for me, and I'll eat a little bit of it and wrap it up, and I hide it away in a cabinet. I can nibble on that for several days.
So I love that. So I want you to really draw a picture for me of how you, as descriptive as possible with that dessert.
Okay.
Of how you would eat that dessert.
Okay. My goodness. Okay, I mean, this is I think, you utilize all the senses. So this dessert is wrapped up and it has like a certain density to it. So it's like, I feel this heavy dessert in my hand. I'm like, wow, this looks good. You open it and you see like the chocolate mixed in with the graham cracker and the butterscotch and the coconut, like all my favorite things, and it smells good. And then I look at the edge of it where it came out of the pan, like the best part. I take a bite of that and I eat slow and I savor it. It's just really, really good. And now I must be OCD because I'll eat in like a perfect line. Like everything has to be square so that I can wrap it back up and it still looks new.
So if you had to say like how many...
I can't believe I'm confessing all of this.
No, I love it. So, I mean, it blows my mind because I literally interview all these people and it's like so many of the same things just keep coming up and it's just over and over, and this is how the book came about. This person said it, so how many bites of that dessert, if you decided to have it, would you say you'd have?
I can't tell you because it's so many. This is not like it's about this big and many bites. I mean, many bites. Many bites.
Okay, so she's not saying many, gang. She's saying mini, like MINI.
Oh,
like,
no, many bites.
Yeah, many bites.
There you go.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's not like a 4-bite
just
thing
not 4
for me.
bites, but because you're making the bites so small. Is that what you're saying?
But not on purpose. I just enjoy it that way.
That's how you enjoy it. Okay. So when this dessert, would you say it's the size of what? Like a tennis ball? Would you say that's how big the dessert is?
I'd say if you took a tennis ball and you went, there you go.
So that would be it. So when you eat it, how much of that tennis ball are you eating in one sitting?
Maybe a quarter, maybe. Maybe.
Okay, a quarter.
Maybe it is on purpose because I do enjoy it so much. I don't want people to think I don't enjoy food. I love food.
Yeah.
Like I'm a foodie and I love to bake, but I love it so much that I want it to be there tomorrow. Like I want it to last.
Right.
So I think that's a technique.
So, hey guys, we absolutely love getting your questions into the podcast, but we're also interested in your journey. So if you've started intermittent fasting and have some success or even struggling a little bit, we want to hear about it. Email me your intermittent fasting stories to Chantel at chantelrayway.com. Now back to the show. I don't know if I told this story in my book or not, but my assistant, if I didn't, I need to add it in the second version, but my assistant had this, this was a long time ago. I had a very thin assistant. She was, her and her family moved out of the area, but before she moved, I remember one day she had this pack of donuts. It was like, you know those mini donuts in the 6-pack with the cellophane? Yep. And she had it in her drawer and she got it, but she didn't eat it and she put it in her drawer. And then one day she ate one of the donuts. And then that's it. She put it away and put it in a little Ziploc and put it away. Then the next day she had one mini donut and then she put a Ziploc and then she put it away. And then I think there might have been like 4 in there. And then she just, for a couple days, she didn't like do anything with it. And then I was thinking in my head, those donuts are going to go bad. And she took the day off, and I ate every one of the donuts.
Chantel!
I got her a new one when she got back, but it was like,
that's funny.
At the time, I was thinking, if I knew those donuts were sitting there, I wouldn't be able to like just put it away. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, but now I can. Now I can. Like, now I can leave it. You could have candy. You could have whatever in the drawer now. But it's the same principle. Like, if you look at my bar, I'm not a drinker. I don't like to drink. I like to eat my calories. But I have so much liquor in my house, but it can just sit there.
Right.
And I'm not like, oh my God, I've got to drink it.
Right. Yeah.
So talk to me about like what you... Like, is there anything you do put off limits? Like, do you say, I don't eat wheat, I don't eat dairy, I don't eat sugar? Like, is there any of that? Like, I know you say, I try to have high quality foods.
Right.
But as far as the type of foods that you eat, Is there anything that you kind of are?
I definitely limit carbs, specifically white flour. I try to limit corn because I just don't feel that my body responds well to corn. And
but
sugar.
you don't. But you have it in limited amounts.
Right.
Is that right?
And
so
sugar.
It's not like you don't eat it.
Or if I feel like the scale has crept up, and I keep an eye on that. If the scale creeps up 2 or 3 pounds, I go, okay, maybe I've been really enjoying the holidays, so then I may cut out sugar entirely. I don't cut out dairy. I have full fat dairy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, if I'm going to eat dairy, I have full fat dairy. The 2 things I really limit in my diet, only because not for any other reason, not like I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to gain a ton of weight if I eat dairy or that sort of thing. I just don't. It's
you
how
don't
I
feel good on
so
it.
It's like when I eat it, I know that I'm going to be tired. I know, if I have gluten, I know I'm going to be not feeling
If I
good.
have white flour, I feel like I'm been drugged. I have to have a nap.
Yes, I know. My husband
or a bunch of sugar.
My husband jokes and says that if you give me a piece of like a piece of Wonder Bread, which I'd never eat a piece of Wonder Bread, but if I ended up doing it, I would be in the bed because of all the chemicals that are in that.
Yeah. Not eating processed food is pretty off limits. It has to be something organic,
like a treat.
That's,
It would have to
packaged, but not as.
So let's say you went to a birthday party and someone made this like exceptional cake. Would you eat that cake at the party?
Yes, but I never eat much of a cake at a party.
So just
a cake has to be exceptional for me, but
of it.
Anytime I go somewhere that somebody's made something or this is what they have and this is what they're serving, even if it's not something I would usually eat, I will probably put it on my plate and at least pick at it. But
Gotcha.
That's
so let's talk about your plate of food. So let's just say you had name like your favorite meat, your favorite like veggie and favorite starch. Like let's just do you said you like the hibachi. So let's talk about that. Okay. So let's say
that's a treat though, because that's a lot of rice with a lot of oil and stuff in it.
Yeah, it is. But that's okay. So that's still a treat meal.
Sure.
It's let's say it's your son's birthday. He wants to go there. So let's say let's just pretend like you waited until they gave you everything, because how first they give you the rice, first they give you this, but let's just pretend they gave you everything at the same time.
Okay.
What does that look like for you as far as what you'd eat? What do you get there? Do you get shrimp? Do you get
I'd like to get the steak and filet mignon.
Okay.
I'm sorry, the chicken and filet mignon.
Okay, so you get the chicken and the filet mignon, and then the fried rice and the vegetables. So how do you decide what you're eating and what you're not eating? Like do I eat the rice first? Do I eat the steak first? How do you kind of decide what to eat, when to eat? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Gosh. Well, I really enjoy the cabbage and vegetables they put on there, and I mix that with the rice. I wouldn't say that I always finish my chicken. It's kind of more of a conscious effort for me. I eat meat, but I don't crave meat very often. So even though the rice on that occasion is not the healthiest part of the meal, I probably end up eating more of it than the chicken.
Yeah. And how much of your plate?
I'm conscious of it.
How much of your plate would you say, if you go to a restaurant, would you say you're eating half of it?
2/3.
Would you say okay? 2/3 of it. And would you say, so you're eating, you said your lunch, you eat a small lunch.
Right.
And then for dinner, would you say that meal is small, medium, or large?
Medium.
Mm-hmm. So pretty much would that sum up your day? Would you say, for lunch I'm eating something small, and then for dinner I'm eating something medium size? Okay. And what does your middle of the day look like? Are you having snacks? Or are you just saying, no, I already had a small snack, I don't need to eat anything else?
I'm busy and I may not realize I'm hungry until I realize I'm hungry, and then I have a snack. If I will pack snacks with me so that I have things when I'm hungry.
So what kind of snack? I love that, but it's funny because every person I interview, it's the same thing they say, that they go, when I'm hungry, I eat. It's like bing, 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 rocket science. When I'm hungry, I eat when I'm full, I stop. But talk about the snacks but for the most part, you'd say, I'm not eating a lot of snacks. I'm eating
It's not so much conscious, I think, because I am busy during the day, that I'm too busy to think about the meal or the snack or whatever I should be eating. I think if you don't have a packed day doing other things, you tend to focus on the meals more, or you look for something to do, and there's the food.
Now, would you say that you ever overeat?
Sure.
So, like, if it's on a scale, let's just pretend, you've got a scale of, if we were going to do a scale, if we said, okay, like 0 would be, I call it hamster hungry. Hamster hungry is when you are just so ravenous that you are like, I'm dying right now, I've got to eat. And I'm like I feel faint. I'm beyond my stomach growling. 1 would be my stomach growling. That's when my stomach growls. I know I'm hungry. 2 would be my stomach's not growling, but I'm starting to get hungry.
Right.
And then 3 would be like, I'm not hungry, I'm not full. 4 would be I'm satisfied. And then 5 would be I'm just completely stuffed, like Thanksgiving Day stuffed.
Right.
So if you had to pick from 0 to 5, where would you say on that scale would you say that you are starting your meal?
That I'm starting my meal?
So would you say I'm starting at where your stomach is growling, at 1?
Yeah, it's always 0 to 2. I mean, if it's 3, it's because we've planned to go to dinner with somebody and this is where we are and I have no choice.
Kind of nibble on something.
Right.
But for the most part, you'd say 0 to 1.
Yeah, and 0 is usually not on purpose. It's just I've been so busy I didn't realize I hadn't eaten.
And then where would you say that you would stop eating when you are just satisfied under, like if you had to say, I stop at like a 3.8 right before satisfied because I know I'm going to get hungry later, or would you say, no, I stop right when I'm satisfied at 4?
I would say the earlier, like for lunch, it's probably at 3. Like I'm not hungry, I'm not full. I ate, now I can keep doing whatever I'm doing, and then at dinner I'm satisfied unless it's something exquisite that I've paid a lot for, then I might get stuffed.
Yeah. I've heard that a lot when I interview people. It's like they don't like to feel full, and they feel like if I get too full, it's just going to slow me down for the day, and I've got a lot of things to do.
Right.
So I don't want to have that feeling.
Yeah.
So if you had to say, like, on a scale, like for in the day, when I asked you that question about being stuffed, would you say that you were, like, how often would you say you get to that point? Like,
not
never.
very often.
Yeah. Okay, how often would it be? Once a month?
Yeah.
Twice a year?
Maybe once a month, maybe.
And what happens?
And that's more the holidays time.
So what happens at that point? Like, what's going on in your mind where you allowed yourself to
oh my God, this is so good. I'm so full, but I can't stop. I could stop, but it's so good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get this
So
again
what would
forever.
that be?
But
Yeah.
that's not every day. I mean.
So what would that be? Like, where is that, like a specific restaurant or?
I think it's when I don't think I get that way from the meal. I think that's the topping off with dessert. When you're
you tried
satisfied.
You tried to save room for a dessert.
Right.
Now that's a great point because so would you say if you know you want to get dessert, like let's say they have this amazing dessert, would you say you would stop normally at like a 3.5 so that you had room for the dessert?
Unless it's the best thing I've ever eaten.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So what would it be, like 3.5, 3.8? Where would it be on there for you where you'd say this is where I kind of stop?
3 point something. Before I'm satisfied.
Because
I know that and it has to do with what have I ordered for dinner and what do I see on the dessert menu. And if there's not something I really, really want, I'm not getting it.
So do you feel like sometimes you just stop eating because you don't feel full right now, but you know you're going to be full afterwards? Like, I'll give you an example. One of the thin eaters that I interviewed, she said that she she ate one piece of pizza, and that was a bigger piece of pizza for lunch, like, because she worked right next door to a pizza parlor. And so she was a hairdresser, and it was like she didn't have a lot of time, and so it was easy for her. But she was like, she ate faster than normal because she knew, hey, I've got clients, I gotta kind of eat fast. But she's like, I kind of can picture this much food is going to satisfy me.
Right.
So she, even though after she ate that one slice of pizza, she wasn't full, she knew that in 10 more minutes she would be full. Does any of that go on in your mind? Boy. Or do you eat slow enough that you already feel full? Like she says she eats faster.
It's because I eat slow. Yeah.
Now,
if I start to feel like I'm starting to get full, but I would like dessert, and I would rather have dessert and not feel stuffed than eat this and eat dessert and feel stuffed, or eat this and not get dessert. So I just weigh that.
So name, if you had to name, like, these are my top 5 favorite things to eat. Like, these are like, it doesn't have just any of your 5 that you're like, this is like to die for, like 5 stars, party in my mouth, I love it, love it, love it.
I don't know if I'll be able to come up with 5. Okay,
just come up with a couple.
Something I haven't had in a long time, like a flourless chocolate cake or some kind of chocolate souffle, like something dark chocolate. I love this. Comfort food, believe it or not, would be macaroni and cheese. So that's like the splurge where I don't care, but I'm gonna eat this, but I'm not gonna eat a ton of it. Still makes me sleepy though. Okay, so talk to me about, so what makes you decide that you're going to like have either the chocolate cake or the macaroni and cheese? Would you say, I eat it twice a week, I eat it once a week? How Less
often?
than that. Rarely do I have a decadent dessert like that. We bake cookies in our house fairly often in the winter months. When I've decided I'm not going to have all that processed sugar and flour and baked goods, and I'm done baking them because I'm baking for other people during the holidays. But when it's just me and I'm just going to have dessert and I'm not making it for somebody else, I like to have blueberries with some heavy whipping cream and some stevia. And that, to me, like, it's got the fat, it's got the tart, it's
that's
sweet.
Great. So think about some other things like that where you go, I kind of want something sweet. First of all, how often would you say you have something sweet? Even fruit, like, would you say every day I'm at least having like a couple pieces of fruit? I have some kind of dessert. What does your sweets look like? Describe that.
I guess if we're counting fruit, it would be every other day, maybe. I don't super crave sweets. Unless
Are you
I'm
a salty
eating them
girl? Would you, if you had the choice, would you rather have chips, or if someone said,
I need it balanced, it has to be sweet and salty.
Sweet and salty.
I love a good vanilla ice cream that has, oh, by the way, if you're an Aldi shopper, they have a vanilla ice cream that has nothing else in it except like the milk cream sugar vanilla.
Wow.
Nothing else. It's great. It's cheap and it's great. And I like to put, don't laugh, sea salt on it. I like to balance my salty and my sweet.
So, do you like chips? Like,
not really.
You're not a big chip person. So
I like them at the Mexican restaurant. I like chips and salsa, but I don't like potato chips.
So describe how you would eat in really in-depth detail of how you would eat, and you can pretend pretend like
gracious.
this is.
Here's
your chips. Here's your
my
chips.
gosh.
So,
okay, I can do this.
Okay, so we're going to
show you.
demonstrate. And how many chips and salsa, and like, how would you look at the chips? What would you just describe the entire experience of eating that chips and salsa?
Well, I'm usually hungry when I start eating, so
perfect.
I always am going to have too many chips because that's the first thing brought out when I'm hungry. However, this is how I eat chips because I like to savor things.
Okay. Ooh, okay, so you're breaking it.
I don't like to put the whole thing in my mouth, and you cannot double dip. That's really what it's about, but I guess the effect is I'm eating smaller pieces, so my chip lasts me a lot longer than someone else's chip.
When you're looking at all those chips that are in the bowl, is there a way that you look at them, or how do you like decide which chip to get? Like, do you like?
I like
them?
the small ones. I don't know why.
Okay. Do you like ones that have like extra salt on them or not too much salt?
I like the ones that have more salt. I don't know if I hunt for them that much, but I like them.
Perfect.
I like the greasy ones.
So you kind of decide and look.
Yeah, I do. I'm kind of
ones.
looking at the chips, evaluating them. That looks like a good one for scooping salsa, or I can eat that little one without having to break it because it's already little.
Gotcha.
Do that.
Yeah. What other things that would you say that you do that kind of gives you, like if I said to you, do you feel like you're in bondage to food at all? You'd say no, right?
Right. No. I love food.
But you love food. But
I love food.
But there's no big, like, oh my gosh, if you had a dessert sitting here, you didn't feel that pull, like I have to eat it unless you felt like you were truly hungry.
Right. No, I don't have to. I might want to taste it or try it to see what that tastes like. But I don't feel like I have to just eat that. And if I do a dessert, I'd really rather share it with somebody because I know that if I were to finish the whole thing, I'd be too full. So why don't we just share this? If it's my husband, I make sure to cut it right in half so you didn't get mine.
Because he might need a little more of yours. Now, do you think your husband's a thin eater or not really?
Not really.
Has he learned some principles from you, maybe?
I don't know. No comment.
No comment. That's
No
funny.
comment.
So as far as like, if you had to put a percentage on it, where you said like, 70% of what I eat is clean, 30% is whatever I want, 80% is clean, 20%, 90%. What is that ratio? And when I say clean, I'm talking about like, if you had to say like fruits, vegetables, and lean meats, how much of your diet would consist of fruits, vegetables, and lean meats? And then how much would consist of like, whole grain pasta or dairy or those other things? What percentage would you say?
70-30?
Yeah. So 70% of the time you'd say I'm eating kind of clean, and then 30% kind of eating whatever you want.
Right.
Cool.
Well, I mean, if we're putting the whole grains and the dairy in the 30.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So explain to me, give me a couple of more days. So like you start at 12, give me some more typical lunches or typical dinners.
Why can't I think of lunches that I eat? I guess I'm just not food focused in the middle of the day.
So like right now, because it's around 10:45. That's the other thing. You're not really hungry right now, so you're not even thinking about food.
I've been sipping on this tea.
So do you even really think about food until you get hungry?
No.
Yeah. So that's great. Because that's the key. It's like you shouldn't even, if you're not hungry, you shouldn't even be thinking about this.
Right.
That's awesome. Any other tips that you would say that you have, that you would say this kind of helps me to eat less or helps me to not overeat? Do you, like when the waiter comes, do you take half the food and say, here you go, take it? Or is it just, any tips like that you do?
I guess when you are in that battle in the moment of,
should I eat it or should I not?
just, if you're even thinking about it, then you're probably full. Just put it down and then push it away.
Right.
Like you have to physically separate yourself. I don't have to do that very often, but sometimes.
If it's really, really good.
If it's something that's really, really good, but I'm getting full, then it's, has to go away. Or I'll say, take this away from me because I don't want to eat any more of it. It was good. I enjoyed it, but I'm not going to enjoy it anymore in the next 3 bites than I have already enjoyed it.
Well, that's really good. And so, like, let's say you're sitting down eating that chips and that salsa. What causes you to kind of say, okay, that's enough? Like
The fajitas come?
Yeah. So you're still eating them until the fajitas come.
Sometimes. Sometimes.
But you're eating them so slowly.
I do try to eat them slowly, and that is a control mechanism for me because I love the chips. But also don't want to pay for a meal that I'm going to be too full to eat because I've eaten so many chips.
And so let's say you got those fajitas. Once you've had those chips, you had the salsa. How many total chips would you say you've eaten in that time? Because
I don't really know. Yeah, it's hard to say.
If you had to guess, would you say like 5? Would you say 10?
10, maybe?
10
I don't
chips?
know. That's hard to say. Yeah.
Okay.
I rarely ever finish the fajitas.
Okay.
Ever.
And would you say you eat probably half of that?
Sure.
About
half.
And then you're putting it away.
If it's lunch, it's a lunch portion I'm sharing with
Do you
Duke.
try to like share a meal like with your husband or?
We used to, but now I just always order something that my son will also eat, unless it's
idea.
something I really want then I'll order from the kids menu for him. But typically I'll order something that I know I can give him a part of. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being
You
on
are
the show
welcome.
today. This
My
is gonna
pleasure.
be a huge blessing to people.
Thank you.
And just learning from you, and it blows my mind. But every time I do interviews, it's the same information, just different people.
It's unreal.
It's just, I love interviewing people who have you ever had a problem with your weight?
No, I have always gone a little bit up and then a little bit down and a little bit up and a little bit down.
Would you say like 5 pounds?
Yeah, like 5 to 10 pound range
5 to 10
depending. And
pounds.
then I gained 50 pounds in my pregnancy, and it took a long time to kind of come off. But it wasn't. I didn't do a crash diet.
Yeah. Do you feel like when you were pregnant, do you feel like you ate?
I ate healthy, but I ate as much as I wanted to eat.
So you were just eating too much when you were pregnant, you would say?
I guess so. I don't know. No one ever even told me that I was gaining too much weight with the pregnancy, so I don't even know.
When you're as thin as you are, people that I've seen actually that are...
I mean, I looked good pregnant.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel
because you're
worried about it.
Because you're so thin that people that are so thin, 50 pounds is because you got to think a lot of that's water too.
A lot, yeah.
But you just tend to gain more the thinner you are.
Maybe that's
true.
true.
When you start, you tend to gain more.
Right.
Well, you look amazing.
Well, thank
You're
you.
absolutely
So do you.
gorgeous, and I mean everybody's going to want your body. If you want to see this episode, a lot of you are listening to it, but if you'd like to see her, and you can see her how she's eating those chips and splitting them in half and looking for the one that has the most salt on it. And if you want to see that episode, go to chantelrayway.com or go to our YouTube page and you can find it there. And if you have a question that you want answered, go to questions@chantelrayway.com. Bye.